It's time to accelerate. Hi, this is Andy. Welcome to another edition of Frontline Friday with my regular and very special guest, Bridget Gleason. Now, before we get to the show, Bridget and I have a favor to ask of you. Really appreciate it. If you took time right now to leave a review for this show on iTunes, and while you're there, click the button, subscribe to Accelerate. Make sure you get Frontline Friday automatically each week. Also, we need to hear from you. More specifically, we need your sales questions. What can we answer for you? What challenges do you have that we can help you with? So go to accelerate.fm/frontline and enter your question there. Each month, we're going to select one listener's question to be the question of the month. And the winner will receive a $50 Amazon gift card. So remember, go to accelerate.fm/frontline to give us your question and maybe win $50. So Bridget, how are you today?
I'm doing, as usual, Andy.
Why do
Super.
I have to ask?
Great. Fantastic.
Well, there you go. Fantastic. The third time. That was the answer. That's the typical answer.
That's right. I know. I like to change it up.
Yeah. Well, me too.
So what's the latest with you, Andy?
For those who haven't heard, not that anybody would necessarily have heard, but I enjoyed a stay in a hospital a couple weeks ago. I was pretty sick. If you can avoid that, by all stretch of imagination, you should avoid going to the hospital. So, especially if you get really sick like I did. That was just out of the blue. These things that I don't fit any of the profiles, I don't have any of the symptoms, any of the behaviors that say you would get this particular condition, which was acute pancreatitis. And yet there I was.
I know.
There I was.
I think I mentioned to you that I've known several people that have had acute pancreatitis, one of whom was my mother.
Oh, there you go.
And it didn't fit the symptoms. I think maybe they should rethink what the symptoms are, rethink who the demographic is, because the people I know who've had it didn't fit the profile.
Yeah, not alcohol abusers, not
at all.
Obese people with gallstones or anything like that. Yeah, no, it was
nope.
It came out of the blue. We're not sure. We're still investigating. The doctors that I'm working with still, sort of cutting a lot of things out of my life to start eliminating possibilities that might exist. But kind of big mystery. But I was really sick and walked into the ER room here in Manhattan, the ER, and doctor commented that someone that's sick usually shows up in an ambulance, not sort of idly walking into the ER. So, but they took good care of me at the hospital and at NYU Medical Center, and after a few days of sort of passed in a haze, or 4 days, I guess, I was out. But still a lot of work to do to get back up to full strength.
Well, and just gratitude for good health.
In general, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, when you don't have it, you certainly appreciate it more.
I know, you certainly appreciate it. So just a lot of gratitude for good health. And gratitude that you're on this side of it, Andy. A lot of people struggle with health issues, and the fact that you don't on a regular basis, I don't either. We're fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's when you're in the hospital, you get a chance to see a lot of people who are, less fortunate than yourselves. And I'm trying to think. I couldn't even remember the last time I don't think I'd ever spent so much time in a hospital. So, I've had surgery a couple times, but I was, these days they do that on outpatient basis. You don't even spend a night. Don't even spend a night in the hospital. So this was it was quite the experience. And the hospital was so crowded that I spent the first night, I joke, in my private room in the middle of the hallway. So, but they were nice, and they brought those portable shades that completely closed me off. So,
oh gosh.
So, I had a private room that first night.
Well, here we are. Here we are.
All right, so let's talk about sales. And I apologize in advance if people think my voice sounds a little different, because I've actually, one of the things after this is my voice does get tired more quickly. So, I read something over the weekend that just sort of drove me nuts, which was yet another survey, another article talking about, is cold calling dead? Or, have we seen the death of cold calling? And I don't know why it sets me off so much, but it's like,
I was going to ask you, why does that set you off? I think that's the first thing, because I see that article or that headline or blog post frequently.
Yeah. No, I think part of what irritates me so much is I think that the people who put it out there and those that really gravitate toward this topic are basically looking for an excuse not to cold call. Hey, if everybody says it doesn't work anymore, then why should I be doing it? And I think it sort of obscures a larger question, which is about, if you have a responsibility for developing new business and new prospects, why would you take any option off the table? Right? Because how many people are really crushing it? So let's say, an average sales force, maybe half the people are hitting quota and half aren't. And are the half that aren't, are they trying every single thing they can do to develop new prospects and, fill their pipeline and so on? Or have they said, no, I'll try these things, but I won't try like cold calling, I won't try this other stuff because people say it doesn't work anymore?
I see it a little bit differently. I don't want sales reps just trying sort of anything just to get a sale. I don't want them to try just for the sake of trying. Or let's say that's maybe not exactly accurate. I don't want them to have a strategy, an outbound strategy that's sort of the throw the spaghetti on the wall approach.
I agree.
I think salespeople, you need to be thoughtful about
and deliberate
about what works and what works for your customers and clients and when and where. And so to me, it's not I don't know that it's an excuse for people who don't want to cold call. I think it's kind of a cop-out. I think it can be a cop-out. I think there are industries in which cold calling doesn't have the same return that it would, let's say, selling to developers, which is who we sell to. Mm-hmm. They're not big phone users. They don't have phones on their desks. Yes, they have cell phones. That's not how they choose to communicate. That doesn't mean that the reps here don't cold call, but it does mean that as their only strategy would not be effective. It also means that doing 140 calls is not as effective as identifying, okay, within this company, an IT operations manager is probably more likely, just because of his role and what he's doing, to have it than, let's say, a back-end developer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you just have to be more thoughtful about it. So I think it has to... I don't think cold calling is dead, but I think the smile and dial is not very effective.
Sure. But my point was really different. I mean, it was more aligned a little bit with what you're saying. But yeah, I don't think you just throw everything up against the wall. But the fact is that, let's say you're in a field sales role, which still the vast majority of salespeople out there are in field sales roles. So if your job is developing new prospects, new business, what are you doing today? And unless you're really crushing it, at some point you say, okay, well, I've got to adjust my strategy. So what else could I do, right? In a thoughtful, deliberate way, look at what I'm doing and what can I do to make this better, more effective, more efficient? And if you just say a priori, well, cold calling is not going to work, so I'm not going to do that, because people say they can't reach people, all these litany of reasons, then perhaps you're shortchanging yourself.
Yeah, I
think that's one of the things that gets me so frustrated is people are going into this task and walling off options because urban myth is it doesn't work anymore, or it's quote unquote dead. And yeah, it's not right for every situation, for sure, as you pointed out. But this idea that we're going to take, whether it's cold calling or social selling, or there's going to be, invariably it's going to become social selling is dead, is we're going to take all these things and start, I said, taking them off the table as options without really understanding how they should be used, when you should be using them, how they could help you. Do they fit your style, your MO, how you sell? Which, they don't for everybody. But it's just, again, you see these surveys or articles with, hundreds of people liking it and sharing it. It's just like, seriously? What? Why are people so enthusiastic about saying when to kill cold calling when, there are lots of people out there that this is the way that they develop new business and do it extremely effectively?
Well, and that most people don't like to cold call.
Never have. That hasn't
Never
changed.
will.
Hasn't changed for.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying this article is this article is as old as time. I've been hearing this article since I was selling, and I will tell you, Andy, that was a long time ago when I started.
Which century was that?
I know. It was a long time ago. So I think that, people don't like to do it. And so we tend to gravitate. People are trying to find data to support a decision that they already made.
Yeah. Basically a confirmation bias at work, right?
It's exactly confirmation bias at work. So I think what frustrates you, perhaps. Now I feel like I'm playing psychologist here, but that's fine. I like to play psychologist because I'm totally untrained.
I'm laying back on the couch, so go ahead.
Okay, you probably already laying back on the couch. I like to play this game because I don't have any experience, so nobody should even listen to this. But maybe the frustration is that there's this, plethora of articles about is cold calling dead? And we don't see as many that talk perhaps about cold calling as an effective strategy. It's not the only strategy, but it's an effective strategy. And people who are good at it and who have figured out how to make it work and get through and why and how. And people don't like to share those as much because they don't want to do it.
Well, some friends of the show, Jeb Blunt, Mike Weinberg, Anthony Iannarino, some others, put on the first of their outbound events, somewhere a big gathering of sales professionals to focus on proactive outbound. I think so. Clearly, there's industries where it works, and probably more industries where it works than where it's being used today, because in part, people are accepting, like I said, the sort of urban myth that cold calling doesn't work. And I think what frustrates me, Doctor, is that what it is, it's a sign that people have sort of stopped learning. They're stopped trying. Right? If I'm just going to reject that without ever having used it, like granted, there are some industries where it doesn't make sense, but in the broad sense of things, it's still extremely applicable. Is if I'm going to just never use that as a weapon, then I'm basically saying, I've stopped learning.
Okay. Andy, I think that's a bit of a generalization. It could be that you've been in the hospital a little bit too long and you're not as sharp. And so I'm going to cut you some slack here because I think that's a big generalization.
Which one?
That people have stopped learning because they don't want to cold call.
Well, that they won't consider it.
I think they don't want to do it. I think they're just stubborn. I don't think it's that they've stopped learning.
Or they're afraid.
Or they don't like it. They don't like it. I don't like spinach. I'm not going to eat it.
You still don't like spinach?
I love spinach, actually.
Okay.
But no, I love spinach. No, but I think, I don't know that this particular one is, I don't think people like cold calling. Okay. I think it's uncomfortable. It's awkward. You have to make a lot of dials before you get someone. I don't answer my phone. I don't answer my phone if I don't know who it is. So somebody who cold calls me is going to have a hard time. Now, occasionally, I think it's somebody else, or I'm waiting for a call and someone will get me. And sometimes that leads to something. So occasionally it will work. But I think in this case, it's not that this is my sense, is that it's not that because they don't want to learn. It's they don't want to cold call. They don't like it. It's uncomfortable. They don't want to do what's uncomfortable. So.
Well, but wait, though.
Okay.
But
yes.
Granted with that.
Okay.
I grant you all that.
Okay, good. Keep granting.
But there's still ways to learn how to do something you don't like, especially if it's going to help you achieve the goals and objectives that you want in your life or your career. So, yeah, I never liked cold calling. I mean, but I still had to do my version of it, right, in order to generate prospects. I did it, my entire career. Still do it. So it's because I know it, as painful as it is, I also know that it works, right? So, but I have to find a way to accommodate it with my style, as we talked about before, which I agree 100%. You need to have it fit into your style. But it's, like I said, it's these blanket statements that, as I said, that really get me going, because, again, I think that there are lots of people, lots of companies, lots of industries that aren't even considering how they would use this effectively as a strategy to develop pipeline that should be, because they've all accepted the idea that it doesn't work anymore.
I think there's a lot of people who've accepted it doesn't work, individuals, but I don't know very many companies that don't have some sort of outbound strategy that doesn't include cold calling. They may not like it, but I don't know very many that have said, I don't know very many sales managers who have said, I don't want my people to cold call. Maybe you do. You talk to a lot more people than I do in this role.
Well, yeah,
you talk to more people like me. I'm sorry for that.
Well, not everybody. You're one of a kind, but
I know.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there are companies that have stopped any sort of proactive outbound, but they're still in a distinct minority. But I wasn't really saying that's the case. I was just more worried about the individuals that read these articles, think this is still really a valid question. And my point is that I don't think it is a valid point of discussion. I think we waste so much time about this idea whether cold calling's dead or not. And the issue is not whether it's dead, it's whether it works for you. It's still a perfectly applicable tool for many, many companies. It's just, does it work for you? And how do you make it work for you?
And do you know of a lot of companies that give the reps the individual choice and control to say, yes, I'm going to cold call, or no, I'm not going to, as a strategy?
Yeah, actually, I think probably the majority of companies still do that.
They give them choice.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't forget, you're in the bubble. You're in the tech bubble.
Why? Oh.
Right?
Wait. You mean maybe I want to get out of the tech bubble? Let's hear how they do it differently. No, I mean, like I look at these, like when I look at metrics, calls or emails or meetings. So if I see a rep that has fewer, I'm going to call it out and say, hey, what's going on here? I don't see as many outbound. So are you telling me that in some outside my bubble, my beautiful bubble, it's sort of like the Wild West and the reps just get to do what they want? That sounds like a good bubble. I want to go work in that bubble.
Oh my gosh. We need to get you out more often.
I know. Tell me.
Well, we've talked about this on the show. I mean, I'm going to give you an example. I talked to a VP of sales at a 100-year-old company that's number one in their field. They got 60 field sales reps. Their strategic initiative for 2007, their number one market share leader. Number one strategic initiative for 2017 is installing a CRM system for the first time. That's the real world. That's the outside the leading edge companies you employing all this great technology, innovation, and sales that we have in the broader quote unquote valley, which East Coast, West Coast. You got small businesses out there that people are just out making calls the way they've made them for ages, forever. That's the real world. That's where the vast majority of salespeople are still working in the field out there. This is what they're doing.
Like I said, it's a beautiful bubble that I'm in. I like my bubble. It is. Yeah. Okay. So that's true. If somebody's in really, they're just installing their CRM. I have to really wrap my head around that one.
Yeah. I mean, I've got clients that have 100 inside salespeople that The only sales tool they have is a custom CRM they wrote years ago. They have no sales tech at all, nothing in the stack beyond that. And, they do a pretty good job, all things considered. But I mean, it's not that they couldn't do better, perhaps, if the application of technology. But, this is the world they're in. So, this is sales for most people.
Okay, but Andy.
Yes.
None of those people are listening to the podcast. Okay. So I don't think those people are listening. I think those people. They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, part of the mission of this podcast from the beginning has been how do we help share with people who are not in the bubble, the advances and the tools and the technologies and things that, not that they could, adopt a full sales stack from day one, but that they could start getting exposed to all these things that exist that can help them do a better job for their customers, do a better job for themselves in selling. And so, we're, it's been, like I said, the mission from the beginning is to try to
you're evangelizing.
Help everybody.
You're a sales tool, you're a sales effectiveness preacher, basically. I didn't realize that that this was an evangelistic
Welcome
podcast.
To the church.
I'm so happy. Like, I feel like I'm late to the game. Like that this, maybe everybody else knew this ahead of time but me, that this is what we were doing, preaching. But now that I know, I feel more enthusiastic about it.
Oh, wow. Good. Because
I feel more,
after 82 episodes, it'd be good if you were enthusiastic about it. Yes.
No, but I was enthusiastic before, but now I'm even more enthusiastic.
Got it. Okay.
Because now you've helped me see the light. Okay. And I appreciate that. That there are out of my bubble. Okay. I've been in my bubble too long. I've been in my bubble, my beautiful bubble.
Your entire career.
Ow. I guess so. Okay. But it's time for me to step out. I'm feeling badly that I've always been in this bubble. And so just, aware, but sort of like watching a movie. It's sort of like I'm watching an old movie when you tell me these things. Like part of when we were talking, I was thinking about, like when you were talking about is cold calling dead? And I was thinking about, gosh, I remember when I was first at Xerox and the copier reps would have to be out of the office every day between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Those were the golden hours.
Yes.
Because they were going door to door, office to office.
Yep.
Often they would get thrown out, similar to
hand-to-hand combat.
Hand-to-hand, sometimes getting kicked out of offices because people didn't hang up phones, that you got kicked out of offices. If you had an appointment, you go to a payphone. You knew where all the payphones were, call ahead of time, confirm the appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to say, I'm glad I didn't say it because I think you're going to disabuse me of this notion. I don't think a lot of people are out going door to door like that, right? Using payphones.
Well, no payphones.
We all have cell phones. We all have cell phones now.
Cell
though,
phones,
right?
yeah.
Even outside the bubble.
Yeah.
Do we have cell phones outside the bubble? Now I need to ask.
Of course.
Okay. No, don't say of course. I didn't think we had. I thought we had CRMs outside the bubble too, but apparently not.
Well, I mean, I think we could spend a whole episode on that, on what the
inside the bubble, outside the bubble,
what the actual penetration of CRM systems are in small, mid-sized businesses across the United States. But it's not very good. Okay,
so if that's the case, yes, I do believe that people are out. Yeah, it's a wild, wild west. You're right. If I'm a field sales rep, like I have to think back. I have to go way far back. Like I'm watching an old movie when I was in it. Yeah,
everything was black and white when you were doing it.
Essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, when I was out doing my thing, I wasn't worried. My manager wasn't telling me what to do, how to do it. I had to figure it all out myself.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought we'd move way past that because I've been in the bubble.
Yeah, no.
Okay, yeah, no. Well, then, okay. Here's the other thing for the people outside the bubble. Yeah, people outside the bubble also have desk phones.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, possibly. I mean, you'll see companies out there that like I said, have homegrown CRM systems that they may have integrated with a dialer, but that's about it. Like, you used to work for a company, Yesware, email tracking and so on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know them.
Talk to companies all the time that no idea that it even exists as a capability.
Okay, I believe that.
So, it's just, again, we just tend to have our perspective skewed, by the fact that, we're so fortunate to work with companies like you do, and I have in my career that, are at the leading edge of things that are pioneering the way sales is going to be done for the next, X period of time. But, it's a very thin leading edge.
It's a very thin leading edge.
Yeah. So, we just need to keep that in mind as we, talk to our audience and hear from our audience, because certainly hear questions from audience members that reflect that they're out in the field. They're dealing with this idea of, how do I get more of somebody's time? But they mean face-to-face time, right? Not phone time, not virtual time.
Fascinating. I really do need to come outside of my bubble.
All right, we'll invite you out.
I should go on a field trip. You should go on a field trip. We'll
invite you out sometime. And maybe not in time for our next episode, but we're too long. We'll get you out there.
Okay, good. I look forward to it.
All right. So, Bridget, that's it for today. As always, thank you.
And likewise, I really enjoyed it. I really learned something today. I'm really glad now that I've got a new calling, literally.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. I feel good about that.
Of course, the last time you said I taught you something, you were cursing me as you signed off. So anyway.
Don't remind me that, because I still feel a little bit upset about that one. I'm trying to forget it.
All right. Cool. We'll go spend a few days in the hospital. Everything that happens before then, completely wiped from your mind. So,
all right.
Especially when they administer the high dose painkillers. So,
dear.
All right, friends. Thank you again for listening to us. We'll be back next Friday. Till then, Bridget.
Have a great week.
See you then.